Hello and welcome to this episode of Peak Life. Today we're talking all things community development with Oge Nwandu Vincent. Thank you so much for being here, Oge.
Thank you.
So you work for the planning department and you are in charge of a lot of things connected to grant money for very particular sections of the city or very particular groups of people who live within our city. So let's talk about the entitlement programs and really what they do for our community.
Awesome. Thank you again. So I help manage our community development, funding, all things funding related to community development and planning within the City of Chesapeake. And we have two major entitlement programs funded by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our first is the Community Development Block Program, as well as our Home Investment Partnership Program. Both programs primarily serve to provide a safe, decent, and affordable housing for primarily low and moderate income residents of our city, as well as providing public facilities, public spaces that can be enjoyed by all residents in the city. So our ultimate goal is to advance and increase the quality of life of our residents.
So let's break them both down because there are some differences. So yes. We, love to say CDBG, right? Like Community Development Block Grant. So that's what we're talking about if we splurt out CDBG. So tell me about that program and how it kind of works with how you get the money from the federal government and then how you divvy it out.
Yes. So we are grantees for HUD, which means we apply for those federal grants. And once approved and received, we go ahead and disperse to our subrecipients. Okay. So our subrecipients each year ahead of each new program year go through an application process, which is preceded by our request for applications. And once the eligibility criteria have been determined, we then go ahead and establish them and then disperse those funds.
So organizations have to reapply every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I imagine this takes a lot of paperwork, a lot of grant writing, right? Because, I mean, anytime you're getting money from the federal government, you got to show them that you're kind of checking all the boxes. What are some of the specifics that go into applying for the CDBG when it comes to like what sector of people are we helping? What actual programs, what would people in the community see coming out from these grants?
Okay, so I'll share specifically what has been done in very recent past program years, particularly one we just concluded. We have services ranging from childcare, benefiting low and moderate income families. We have public improvement projects, which is carried out by our own department, one of our city departments, Parks and Recreation. We have, it's a broad range, but also specific, again, to go back to our original mission and goal to assure and ensure decent, affordable housing, as well as public spaces, public facilities that can be enjoyed by all. So we have childcare, like I said. We have a lot of nonprofits that provide housing, either new constructions or rehabilitation services for existing residential structures for eligible home buyers. We have, through our work with the Chesapeake Redevelopment Housing Authority, they administer our tenant-based rental assistance program, and they're able to provide those, again, through those funds that have been dispersed, as well as additional, being able to provide services to eligible individuals and households.
So you are the planning department. You're in the planning department, and you're working with nonprofits outside of the city. You're also working with all those departments that you mentioned. I'm sure, Human Services, Parks and Rec. That's wild. I never knew that was part of it. CRHA, sure. How does that fit in with planning? How does that fit in with your department and the overall plan?
Of course. Everything we do in community development always points us back to our comprehensive plan for the city. So we have our 5-year plan, which is updated, again, every 5 years or as required. And that is our consolidated plan, which is a portion of our consolidated plan, which is more long-term. So everything we do in each program year, every activity that is a part of each program year has to be consistent and in line with the guidelines laid out in those plans.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's all kind of leading towards the big comprehensive plan that okay. So we talked about community development block grant and how from what I understand, you apply for the money, people and organizations that qualify apply to receive that money, and then they go out and do awesome things. Exactly. What does HOME do, and how's that different?
Okay, so HOME stands for the Home Investment Partnership Program, which the foremost goal is to provide either through the development of affordable housing or the rehabilitation of residential properties for eligible home buyers, and it also does include tenant-based rental assistance. So it's specifically, or I guess the way you can look at it is CDBG covers a broader range of services, because you look at improvement of existing infrastructure, public infrastructure. You look at childcare, for example. So all of those things are varied in that they are different activities, a different range of activities, but the common goal is to serve the community. While with HOME, there's that overarching goal of meeting the needs of our most vulnerable and providing affordable housing. So that's how we're able to differentiate.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so with HOME, do you also work with Human Services or CRHA, or is that nonprofits? How does that part of it work?
Yes, very similar to CDBG. Okay. There are regulations that differ, and we're able to make those distinctions just based on the work that we're doing.
Okay.
However,
it's a confusing process.
Yes, it is, but I think the beauty of it is the ultimate goal, which is, at the federal level, at the state, the local level, is to ensure that the community has or provides resources and what we need to make available for our residents. So with HOME is specifically geared towards the modification or the development of affordable housing structures. This could be new constructions, this could be the development of land, this could be providing rental assistance to eligible individuals and households. This could also be, again, a combination of the down payment assistance and closing costs.
Wow. So I mean, it is what it sounds like it is. It's getting people in homes,
yes,
which is so great. It sounds like you really have to have a heart to be in this position. What brought you to be doing this kind of work?
Okay. Most of, I would say really all of my career post right after, I was done with education, which I'm still currently getting further education, but I have worked in housing. So I started with the sheltering part of Human Services. I worked with a shelter in Georgia for women and children experiencing homelessness for several years, and moved here. Moved here and worked in permanent supportive housing, in case management, permanent supportive housing, and then went on to begin my doctoral journey, specifically focusing on public administration and policy. And I am working on issues related to disaster housing recovery, and again, all connected to ensuring that the most vulnerable in our community get the help that they need, especially during disaster seasons and such related events.
Well, okay, we call ourselves a city that cares, and I think you are the perfect example of that. So thank you so much for helping us to understand some of these programs, and we got to have you back on because I know there's a lot more that we could be talking with. So, okay, from the planning department, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Liz.
That does it for this episode of Peak Life. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.